we've got Indiana taking on Houston. Rockets suffering some injuries. You know about that. So how about little James Harden? How about Carmelo Anthony at the center spot tonight?
The center. Well, we don't have too many big guys left. It makes sense.
Look at Melo. The center, the stretch five.
Oh, the stretch five. You want to call that now number 7, the stretch five?
There's his first bucket at home as a member of the Rockets. TJ, Miles Turner.
Oh, my goodness.
He's ready for a breakout here.
Yes, he is.
Let's go back to the Rockets here. Michael Carter-Williams rising to the occasion.
I'm still leery about this one. I love the fact the young man's still fighting, but not the outside shooter, so it's going to be interesting.
Well, how about Marquise Chris coming over from Phoenix in the Ryan Anderson deal? James Harden up to Isaiah Hartenstein. Look at the new guys getting involved. But we go back to a guy who was the most improved player in the year and wants more than that this upcoming season for Indiana. It is Victor Oladipo.
Yes, Victor came right to play. Get that shot out of here, Chris Paul.
Well, there's the block by TJ Leaf. And then Oladipo, yep.
Yeah, the bank's open. No matter if it's preseason or regular season, they still cash in.
Can he be better this year?
Yes, he can. He's so young. I think he's just tapping into we know how good he can be.
Third quarter. College.
Oh, cookies. Early, yeah, preseason cookies. Put a little milk on it. Oh, got him.
Transition basketball. They were so good last year running. Oladipo, 24 points Thursday night. James Harden, step back 3.
It never gets old, Jared.
How about one more from the stretch 5?
Please. Splash. Oh.
Well, there's the rebound.
Oh, you said stretch 5. Excuse me. That was the period. Excuse me. You did say stretch 5.
That's right.
Oh, nice pass. Okay, MCW.
Former Rookie of the Year,
okay.
MCW.
All right.
15 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds for MCW. Bojan Bogdanovic.
Oh, man. And he's another guy. He had a great year last too, the second half of the season.
And so much put on him to play defense now, getting involved more offensively. Kevin Pritchard, heard him speaking the other day on Bogdanovic. He's so high on him, the way he has played for them. 110-100. Indiana gets to win over Houston. Let's get into this Houston squad here, and they're still dealing with injury, just like we were talking about with the Thunder, and that has really what has put Carmelo Anthony in the starting lineup because of P.J. Tucker being out here in the preseason. But what do you think of the idea of Melo at the 5? Is this just a happenstance on Thursday night, or is this something you think Mike D'Antoni can really get some minutes out of?
Well, I think it's a happenstance because the other night, and let's just go his big picture because I know our fans want to hear this. If you're playing against the Warriors until Buggy Cousins comes back, and you go with the Hampton 5, then you can put Carmelo at the 5 spot and match up and switch everything, all the things that we talk about. But to go big picture, I think Melo needs to be at the 4. Let's call it what it is. I think P.J. Tucker needs to be at the 3. When you go deep into the fourth quarter, you go deep into the season, I think that's going to be their better lineup once everyone gets healthy.
And again, we're not trying to take minutes away from Clint Capella, who they just paid very
exactly.
handsomely.
I think Clint Capella needs to be on the floor. So once again, people, the small lineup with Carmelo at the 5, here and there, depending on who you're playing, how the flow of the game going. Clint Capella needs to be on the floor.
Curious your thoughts here. You mentioned a little bit during the highlight about the role of Michael Carter-Williams and maybe eventually Brandon Knight once he gets healthy. The Rockets, the reports are that they're going to be a lot more cautious with Chris Paul and James Harden this year to make sure that there aren't those playoff injuries, and they are like the Warriors where they're peaking come April, May, and June.
Well, through those highlights, it makes sense because MCW is a great slasher. But when you look at the system, we're thinking about three-point shooting. We're thinking about getting shots up early. That doesn't fit MCW. So now, if he's off the ball, like a lot of those plays we saw, then it makes sense.
Interesting. We'll see how the Rockets continue to evolve. We think of Mike D'Antoni, 7 seconds or less.
Exactly.
They were so different than that last year, led the league in ISO ball. We'll come back with a guy who's looking for another breakout. You're kind of like he had several years ago in Minnesota. The new look Kevin Love as the Cavs look for a new identity. We'll sit down and chat with the 5-time All-Star when we return on this edition of Game Time. If you've got questions that are burning, don't go see a doctor. See the starters, because they've got 50 of them. The starters present installment number 2 of their 50 burning questions, Tuesday, 5:30 Eastern, 2:30 Pacific. The guys break down the wide-open Eastern Conference, where obviously Cleveland no longer has the luxury of leaning on the greatest player in the world. And as Kevin Love told Roz Gold on Woody, the Cavs are using this preseason to find their new identity.
It's a new chapter for us, and we do have to form, as you mentioned, a new identity and figure out who we are as a team, because we have so many moving parts when you lose the best player in the world, you have to find different ways to make an impact. And I think Ty Lue is trying to see where he can throw in different guys in lineups and be able to establish some sort of continuity and synergy out there for us.
So is it fair to say let's set some new expectations?
New expectations, I think, for sure. But just having, every day when we walk into practice, we see that 2016 banner, we see the Eastern Conference Championships, but at the same time, the East got a lot better. And those teams last year that were right on the cusp of making the finals, like a Boston or a Philly that has Embiid and Simmons, Kawhi now headed to Toronto. There's just a number of teams throughout. I know there's teams I'm missing as well. Indiana, Washington, teams like that continue to get better in this league, get better in the East. So I think we need to set expectations, but we also need to play our best basketball and let the chips fall where they may.
You mentioned Coach Lue. What stood out so far about him in training camp? This is a new type of challenge for him, too.
Well, they're all really, today we had probably the longest shoot-around that we've had in 4 years. There's a lot of attention to detail, a lot of coaching going on, a lot of stopping and teaching out there on the fly. So I think with a younger team and trying to figure out exactly what we want out there on the floor has been the onus early on in training camp. So, it's 2 weeks till we get out there and the real thing starts. So I think he's just trying to make up for that time and get everybody on the same page.
You're going to have an increased leadership role. What's your leadership style?
Leadership style, it's funny because, when Bron was here, you have to, first, sometimes you have to learn to follow in order to learn how to lead. So I think in my first 6 years, we had such a revolving door with players and, with people in management, coaches. So you never really got to have any, I spoke of continuity earlier. We never had that in Minnesota. And then I went into a situation, also I mentioned, where we were expected to win a championship or compete for a championship every single year to a new chapter. So this is my 11th year in the league. I feel like from a leadership standpoint, I am ready to not only lead by example, but be more vocal.
Well, amazing to think Kevin Love entering his second decade in the NBA. The five-time All-Star has had a lot of success in Cleveland, but he's going to have to go back, as he talked about, to his Minnesota days to have that type of success. But this time he doesn't want to just put up numbers. He wants to also get back to the playoffs.
Well, the playoffs is something he's used to now being in Cleveland. So the difference is, Jared, when he's in Minnesota, he's a young guy trying to figure out how to win. He talked about follow. Well, he's been around LeBron James now for a few years. He's followed him to learn how to win and how to be a better leader. So now hopefully Ty Lue can tap into that old Kevin Love to get more touches, feature him in the offense, and we know he's one of the best passers in our game. So as he's the best player now, supposedly talent-wise, he will be the only guy that gets double-teamed night in and night out.
Well, obviously his numbers went down in Cleveland because of LeBron and for a few years Kyrie, and injuries impacted his play as well. But when he was at his best in Minnesota, Kevin Love was getting about 26 and 13 a night.
Yes.
But that was coming on about 19 shots per game. Does he need to get up to that number again to be as effective?
Well, I think the number, Jared, we shouldn't worry about is how aggressive is he each night, and how does Ty Lue figure out the offense? Is he going to be at the high low? Is he going to be down low? And once they figure that out and get better ball movement, I think that number will take care of itself. If he comes in each game saying, I have to take 20 shots, I don't think that's going to be good for him.
Cavs' second preseason game right here on NBA TV. You'll see him again against Boston, just as you did on Tuesday. It'll be Saturday night, 7:30 Eastern, right here on NBA TV, Cavs and Celtics. Want to tell you that it is easier and more fun than ever to play NBA fantasy with weekly lineups and head-to-head matchups. Draft your favorite players, compete with friends, and get closer to the game. Play official NBA fantasy at nba.com/playfantasy. While you sign up, D, we'll take a break and come right on back.
Fantasy?
Oh man, checked it out real quick. It's good to do some sightseeing, see some local culture, and that was good.
This is different. He gets it anyway, but over here it's 10 times.
It's been amazing. I'm thankful that I could be able to travel the world until, be in this light. So it's been unique.
For me, my first year to be able to go to London and now be in China is truly a blessing. Get a chance to experience their culture and entertain its fans.
I feel like it's an opportunity to come together, to enjoy a completely different part of the world, and we're glad to be here. We're really excited to play basketball in a different country.
Feel me? We out here. We documenting our first trip.
Hey, get Casey.
There you go. Say what up to the Smitty Cam. You're a part of the Smitty fam.
Smitty who?
Smitty Cam.
Hey, get Casey.
We out.
Hey, here we go, guys. Eyes right here.
The opportunity to play out here is amazing. You got one? Very blessed and lucky to be out here playing a couple games. It's been great. I love China.
Breakfast and basketball. Monday, 8 a.m. Eastern, 5 a.m. Pacific. Mavs and Sixers live from China right here on NBA TV. Now in January, the Knicks and Wizards will play each other in the NBA London game. Monday, they'll just play in New York City, and you can watch it right here as well on NBA TV. Now, Dennis Scott, you are no stranger to traveling abroad, part of the global game.
It's a lot of fun. The key word all the guys are using is culture, the food, and what guys like to do in the daytime, nighttime. And I remember being over in Asia, when you give out your business card, you want to give out the card like that, and they just kind of look at you like you're crazy. I'm like, what are you doing? No, you have to put both hands and go like this and kind of kneel in like, oh, so it's a little different. Like, so you know how when you meet someone, you just kind of give your card out like, you wouldn't do well over there, Jared.
There's no chance you had a business card back in the early 90s.
That's what you learn. That's what's called culture.
I know, it's culture. Now you're becoming a liar. I'll take you at the buzzer here. And one thing we know you did to a lot of rookies, hazing Trae Young, the number 5 pick.
Oh, get used to it, Trae.
Face of the franchise here in Atlanta.
Get used to it. Get a third hand for the coffee. Coffee and donuts go well together.
Man, Kent Bazemore and the vets putting them on him. They probably got it from Shaq's Krispy Kreme there. They're still hot. The red light's on.
Hey, Shaq, remember those bags you used to carry for me? Shaq, don't tell a lie.
You made Shaq get
That's right. You used to carry my bags in the snow. Yes. Wow. Ask you. Yes. Big fella.
You never had a business card.
Carry them back. Yes. Shashing. See, boy, Shashing.